This is a story of how seemingly simple ideas can transform institutions, of how capacities latent in grassroots institutions can be channelized for common good. This is a story of how the impact of decisive and visionary leadership can lead to long-term changes in institutions by making simple changes in practices and procedures. This is a story of convergence between two paradigms of development: the dominant interventionist paradigm and the decentralized participative paradigm, of how these two paradigms can be synthesized, harmonized, brought together to get the best out of both. This is a story that revolves around two themes: neem and urea. It has benefited hundreds of thousands of rural poor, especially women, so far, and it has the potential of benefiting millions more. Urea, as we all know, is one of the most popular fertilizers in the world. More than 100 million farmers use about 31 million tons of urea in India, of which about 24 million tons is produced by 26 urea production companies, and the rest is imported. 70% of variable cost of urea is oil and gas, and therefore the cost of production of urea is about $250 per ton. But the selling price of urea is just about $85 to $90. And the government hugely subsidizes urea to the tune of almost $6 to $7 billion a year in the interest of millions of farmers who use urea. And this price differential has been historically one of the greatest attractions for diversion of urea. There was a time urea was getting diverted for making of formaldehyde, for production of laminates. There was a time urea was getting diverted for making of CPC blue, for production of industrial dyes and dye stuff, for production of cattle feed, fish feed, poultry feed. And there was also a time urea was getting diverted for such innovative but horrendous usages like thickening of milk. And the time I am referring to, ladies and gentlemen, is not a distant past. It was just 2 years back. But all that has stopped, all that is history, all that is past, because of a historical decision taken by the Honorable Prime Minister of India, that all urea, each and every gram of urea that is being produced or being imported in this country shall be coated with neem oil. And that has completely stopped the diversion of urea. Not only that, it has increased the productivity of urea, because the neem oil reduces the pace of nitrification, and therefore more urea is available for a greater length of time in the soil. And the country has almost saved $1 billion by way of reduction in imports of urea during the last 1 year. Just to give you a perspective again, India consumes 31 million tons of urea, and to coat that quantity of urea, we require about 26,000 tons of neem oil at the rate of almost 800 grams of neem oil per ton. For production of that quantity of neem oil, we require about 400,000 tons of neem seeds. And for collecting that quantity of neem seeds, we require about 16 million neem trees. After this policy mandate, GNFC, like any other urea company, could have also gone the traditional way of purchasing neem oil from the market, which was infested with unscrupulous brokers and middlemen and traders who were selling all kinds of oils, topped up with as a directin powder and selling it as neem oil. But GNFC chose to tread a path that was less taken. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. GNFC embarked on a massive process of backward integration, while simultaneously creating shared values with a special emphasis on empowerment of women by creating additional income generation and additional employment generation opportunities for them, and thereby improving their livelihood prospects. And that brings us to the genesis of Neem project, which is a successful business model for creating what Michael Porter has called shared values. 4 pillars of Neem project are sourcing, storage, extraction and quality control, and forward integration. Neem is not a commercial tree. Neem is not poplar. Neem is not olive. Neem doesn't grow on farms and can't be harvested in bulk from farms. Neem grows in my courtyard, in your backyard, in their front yard, here, there, and everywhere. How to collect that quantity of neem seeds from neem trees has been one of the greatest logistic challenges, which we solved by neem mapping the whole state of Gujarat, identifying 22 districts based on the density, high density of neem trees, and leveraging all kinds of community structures, be it NGOs, village cooperative societies, self-help groups, water committees, to create a vast network of 2,200 village-level collection centers, catering to almost 5,000 villages. We also created another layer of 300 service provider partners for various activities, like screening, bagging, storage, transportation, and most importantly, for daily payments to these women. Because the idea was that a lady doesn't have to walk more than a kilometer after collecting neem seeds, 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening, and she should get her money the same day. Otherwise, she will lose interest in the whole operation. We also identified a number of expeller units depending on the places of storage, because transportation was an important constituent of the economics of the entire operation. And eventually we set up an expeller units within the battery limit of our own company. We conducted large number of training modules for these village level collection centers, for individual seed collectors, service provider partners, and integrated them with the existing programs of rural extension, agricultural extension, catering to almost 5,000 villages. And the results have been astounding. 45,000 tons of neem seeds collection in a span of 3 years, generating almost $10 million of additional income to about 4.5 lakh women and 2.5 lakh other people who were involved in the operation. Production of almost 3,600 tons of neem oil, 36 lakh kilos, to give you a perspective. And most importantly, an 8-fold rise in the income of these women from a price of about 2 rupees or 1 rupee being offered by middlemen and brokers earlier to as high as 16 rupees, which we offered last season. And after the success of this backward integration model, we were emboldened, encouraged to roll out a forward integration model. As a urea company, I produce 736,000 tons of urea. And to quote that quantity of urea, we require about 550 tons of neem oil. And in the very first year, we produced about 810 tons of neem oil. We were left with excess, 250 tons. And the first thing that came to my mind was neem soap. And we did a great deal of laboratory testing and learning in soap making. And we realized that making of soap is not a rocket science. A soap essentially is a combination of various kinds of oils. 20% of coconut oil, 20% of mahuda oil, 20% of palm oil, and the rest is caustic. And with a little bit of fragrance, by the name of which the soap is sold. If it is rose soap, a little bit of dash of rose fragrance. If it is sandalwood soap, 2 drops of sandalwood oil. We also did a great deal of market research on the entire spectrum of soaps, neem soap being sold in the market, from Margot to Medimix and from Pears to Patanjali. And we realized that most of them were not using neem oil at all. They were using neem extract, which is very different from pure neem oil. And we decided that we will make a neem soap with 21% content of neem oil. And we did that. And we have produced this neem soap, which has the highest content of neem oil, being sold as any other soap by any other name. Name. What is in a name? Juliet tells Romeo in Shakespearean epic, Romeo and Juliet. What is in a name? That we call a rose. By any other name would smell as sweet. That we call a neem soap would not be as beneficial as Gujarat Narmada neem soap. We haven't stopped at that. We have started making neem shampoo, neem hand wash, neem face wash, and a whole range of different kinds of neem products. And all of these products are being made by women, by self-help groups, generating further employment to them. So, ladies and gentlemen, the neem project has been innovative. Neem seeds collection is not part of any government program or any other program or any rural employment program or any income generation program anywhere in the country. To that extent, it's innovative. It's community-led, as I've already said, and it's integrated. The whole model by now has been well established, well institutionalized, right from the individual seed collectors to village level collection centers to service provider partners down to the company. And the government of India, through Ministry of Fertilizer, has issued instructions to all urea companies to adopt and execute the neem project in association with GNFC. And we have expanded to almost 5 more states this year, apart from Gujarat. Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, and Uttar Pradesh. And we have collected almost 25,000 tons of neem seeds the last season. UNDP conducted a massive survey in 4 districts, 19 talukas, and 129 villages covering almost 2,000 women to identify, to establish whether neem project can qualify as a viable RIGA, a viable rural income generation activity. And the results have been very encouraging. There has been a 58% increase in the annual income of those women who have been involved in the neem project. 98% of women are happy in being associated with neem project. There has been a substantial increase in the economic decision making within the families. Their expenditure on health and education has increased by almost 140%. Their seasonal migration has almost stopped. But the most important and most fascinating finding that has been to me is that in many of these homes, the incidence of domestic violence has substantially come down. And that goes hand in hand with domestic and global studies, that economic emancipation goes hand in hand with social empowerment, social emancipation. There have been many success stories, ladies and gentlemen. But I'd like to share a few of them to you. Women have created all kinds of assets, from televisions to ceiling fans, and from buffaloes to vegetable carts. Manjula Ben, she stays in one of the outlandish tribal villages of Bharuch district. She had never earned even a single rupee in her life. She involved herself in the first year, collected hundreds of kilos of neem seeds, earned almost 15,000 rupees. She purchased a buffalo, started selling milk, earning about 50 rupees a day. She also purchased a vegetable cart. And she got really busy. When the next season my people went for pre-season activity, she tells them, look, I've got really busy, but I have 5 neem trees in my courtyard. I would like to lease them out. And that is empowerment. That is how the whole project has empowered these women to bargain. Amisha Ben, she organizes a self-help group. 190 women who collected tons and tons of neem seeds, earned about 12 lakh of rupees and invested part of that income in a papad making unit. She comes to me a few weeks back with a whole big bunch of papad, tells me, I've got a gift for you. We collected neem seeds for you. You have 5 canteens in your company catering to 2,000 people. Purchase these papad for us. That is bargaining. That is empowerment. And that is entrepreneurship. The neem project has turned landless laborers into wage earners and wage earners into rural entrepreneurs. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are standing at a cusp of a neem revolution in this country. With a requirement of almost 26,000 tons of neem oil, necessitating a collection of 400,000 tons of neem seeds, we have a potential of generating additional income and additional employment to almost 6 to 7 million rural people and a whole growth of ancillary industry. And that is what the Honorable Prime Minister has called a win-win situation for all the stakeholders. Thank you. I'd like to just share with you what the Prime Minister has remarked about the project.
कहीं किसानों की कतार नजर नहीं, कहीं लाठीचार्ज नहीं हो रहा है और यूरिया का ब्लैक मार्केटिंग भी नहीं हो रहा है। क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? तो पहले जो यूरिया था वो किसानों के नाम पर से निकलता था, लेकिन चोरी करके केमिकल फैक्ट्रियों में पहुंच जाता था। केमिकल फैक्ट्री वालों को ये रॉ मटेरियल के रूप में उपयोग आता था, उसकी वो प्रोसेस करके प्रोडक्ट निकालते थे, उनको सस्ते में यूरिया मिल जाता था। बीज तो किसानों के नाम पे फटता था और मलाई केमिकल इंडस्ट्री वाले खाते थे, बिचौलिए खाते थे। हमने यूरिया का नीम कोटिंग कर दिया और नीम कोटिंग करने का परिणाम यह आया कि आज 1 ग्राम यूरिया भी केमिकल फैक्ट्री के रॉ मटेरियल के लिए काम नहीं आ सकता। इसके कारण जितना यूरिया पैदा होता है 100% वो खेत में ही काम आता है। दूसरा, हमने 20 लाख टन यूरिया उत्पादन बढ़ा दिया। विदेशों से आता है यूरिया, उसका भी हमने नीम कोटिंग कर दिया। इतना ही नहीं, गुजरात में GNFC ने तो नीम कोटिंग करते समय आदिवासियों को नीम के फली इकट्ठी करने के लिए काम में लगाया, तो उनको रोजगार मिला और वो नीम का तेल भी निकालने लगे। और मैंने सुना है शायद 10-12 करोड़ रुपए का मुनाफा उन्होंने नीम के तेल में से भी पाया। तो एक विन विन सिचुएशन वाली चीज जिसको हमने लागू की, तो करप्शन भी गया, कठिनाइयां भी गई। गांव-गांव नीम के पेड़ होते हैं, लेकिन कभी उसका उपयोग नहीं होता। आज जिन जिन गांवों में नीम के पेड़ होते हैं, जैसे आम के पेड़ के नीचे से फल इकट्ठे करने वाले लोग होते हैं, जामुन के पेड़ के नीचे फल इकट्ठे करने वाले लोग होते हैं, आज धीरे धीरे गांवों में महिला इकट्ठी होकर के नीम की फली एकत्र कर रही है और नीम कोटिंग के लिए कारखानों को बेच रही है। GNFC द्वारा ही जो नीम की फली खरीदी गई है, इन गरीब महिलाओं को 40 करोड़ रुपयों की आय हुई है। 40 करोड़ रुपये। हमारे देश में वर्षों से सामान्य मान्यता रही है कि नीम का साबुन हो, नीम का तेल हो, ये शरीर के लिए अच्छा होता है। अब ये GNFC का साबु अच्छों की धुलाई कर देगा, इसके लिए मैं GNFC को बधाई देता हूं।
Thank you very much. Thank you.